Good morning and welcome back to our garden. It's a lovely early summer morning out here. You can hear the birds chirping in the background, hopefully. And we want to give you a tour of our vegetable portion of the garden, primarily these raised beds behind me. And we want to show you kind of where we're at here in late June, and we'll come back later on in the summer and give you an update as well. All right, so we have our first raised bed, our second raised bed, and our third is back there. And that's how we kind of number them in our heads when we talk about them. And because the sun rises over here out from the east and it comes over, hits the house around midday, we start having less and less sun starting from here, working its way over. So we have limited space, limited sunshine, at least direct sunlight. So we've been very specific about what we grow, primarily things that we want to eat a lot. So squash, zucchini, tomatoes, green beans, peppers, that type of kind of narrowed it down there. So we just have limited space. And then we also have, over the last few years, been experimenting, trying different plants, different planting techniques in different raised beds, trying to figure out what would be work best for us in our specific garden, given our specific conditions. And as you'll see in a bit, some things are doing really well. Some, maybe we want to move them or make some adjustments. But overall, quite happy. But let's take a look at these in a little bit closer detail next. In our first one here we have our summer squash. Not doing the greatest right now, but they're this front kind of row here. And the idea being that they'll grow vertically over time. We cut the lower leaves off as it goes, helps it grow vertically, makes it easier to see the vegetables, and helps prevent it from catching diseases from the ground because the leaves are up higher and it has better airflow. This area, as this whole raised bed in general, we need to work on amending the soil. That's been, we think, the biggest issue with the lack of overall growth. However, some things are looking pretty good. We have zucchini here in the middle, doing pretty solid, looking pretty healthy overall, at least some of them. And then as we rotate to the back end, we have peppers doing pretty well, looking good. We do enjoy eating lots of peppers, and we are having these grow on the back end, with the idea being that the zucchini leaves, and hopefully eventually the summer squash leaves, will help provide a little bit of mixed or dappled shade so that our peppers don't get heat scalded in July and August, when temperatures often go above 100, sometimes over 110 degrees. For the peppers we grow, primarily sweet bell peppers, sweet tasting one. That's what we love to have with salads or just on their own. We really enjoy those. So primarily the majority of our peppers are these lovely types. This year though, we tried to experiment and get a few spicy ones mixed in. Here is our jalapeno, quite a few growing there. And we're gonna give those a try. We haven't really grown spicy peppers before, so we're really excited to start testing these out and see how they taste. Looking good though. On the other end here, the more shadier end, is some leftovers from the winter and spring garden. We have different types of chard and greens. This we just clip as we go, eat some, and it tends to grow back. Mixed around the edges, and on the inside you'll see lots of different flowers, some daisies that do really well, some alyssum that are all volunteers from other parts of the garden, encouraging pollinators to come and visit the raised bed. Also around the edges, for example, over on this first edge, we have Society garlic on the outside that have lots of nice purple flowers. Again, encouraging all the pollinators to come and visit our raised beds in the area. So here is raised bed number 2, and we have it bookended with kind of some trellis of sorts for green beans here on each end. Nothing too fancy. We're still experimenting and deciding what grows well in which locations. Later, if this continues to be a really productive spot, we might get a fancier trellis setup, but for now this works as we experiment. So on each end we have green beans, which in the past few years have grown pretty well. Last year we were a bit late to get it started and we had some powdery mildew issues. This year they're looking much healthier overall and growing quite nicely. We're looking forward to lots of delicious green beans. So that's the bookends. And then in the middle of the raised bed, or on the sides of the middle, we have 6 different big beef indeterminate tomato plants that we all have. Each one has a wooden stake to help give it support, especially early on with our heavy winds in this area. And then over time, as it gets taller and taller, we will tie it off around the stake and also upwards to some wire going above to encourage it to go more and more vertical and give it that support. As you can see, we got lots of tomatoes growing, looking good, nice, good size. Some actually are ready to be harvested in just a little bit. Really excited. That'll be our first tomato harvest of this year. All right, first harvest of tomatoes 2025. Look at that. Nice, good size, nice and red and a little bit of orange. Looks good. First one. Now normally we'd let these others go a little bit longer, but we're going to be gone for a week and we are going to harvest them now and make that work. There. Don't want to cut the string. Gotcha. Alright, so a little early, but we'll let that ripen on its own a little bit more. It'll still taste quite good. The bottom's already showing that nice reddish color. There we go. Better to be a little more careful on that. Don't want it to go bad while we're gone. First 3 tomatoes of the year. Not a bad start. And then tucked away in between our 6 tomato plants are some pepper plants. We do love our peppers. We put them in the middle here, hoping that they'll still get enough sunshine to grow, which so far it's looking quite promising, but at the same time, let the tomato plants provide some shade. So far in June, it hasn't been that bad actually for us. Pretty mild, it's just high 80s, low 90s. Last year, July was over 100 basically every single day, some days getting over 110. And lots of our lovely peppers got sun scald, and we're trying to prevent it this time around. As you can see, it seems to be working. We have some peppers that are about the same size you would get at the store. They're the largest peppers we've ever been able to successfully grow. So far, this seems to be a great success. We're hoping the tomato leaves will also protect the various tomatoes growing. So that's why we grew them a little close so that they overlap a bit and kind of protect each other from the incoming heat. That's not quite here yet, but is definitely coming. Down to raised bed number 3. As you can see, similar style somewhat. We have a bookend here that will have green beans starting to grow over and will kind of take over that spot. However, this side here and this side here, kind of a nice L, we had some old webbing that we are using for the time being as we experiment to grow green beans. And as you can see, it's taken over quite well. And we've done this now for a couple years with green beans in this location, and it seems to be a really good spot. We do have some powdery mildew issues, but outside of that, it's growing quite nicely, lots of growth. We've already been harvesting some green beans. In time, we'll probably invest in a nicer trellis, more stable setup, but we've been experimenting as we've mentioned. So trying to figure out first what works well and what location, and then put in some nicer infrastructure to take advantage of that. Edges, green beans, but in the center, we have lots of zucchini plants. As you can see, it's doing quite well overall. We have various poles or stakes in the ground to help, again, grow them vertically. As they get larger and bigger plants, we cut off the bottom leaf areas, as you'll see if we look a little more closely. So we've cut these off and are encouraging them to grow vertically. We'll tie off as we go and help them be stable and supportive as we go up. But this, again, helps reduce the chance of disease because there's less contact with the ground, there's better airflow, and big one, makes it easier to find the vegetables. In the past, we've missed a few, and that is rather unfortunate when the plant goes through all the trouble of growing us delicious veggies and we miss out. In the back here, you can see a very nice large zucchini. Probably should have harvested a bit earlier. However, we'll harvest it today. It'll still taste pretty good. Also in this raised bed, we have one lone eggplant, a Japanese eggplant variety. Got one growing, as you can see there, looking quite nice. And so far, looking pretty good. We've tried different types of eggplants and had mixed success. This one, though, seems to be doing pretty well in this location. We had a little extra space here and there, so we planted 2 more peppers kind of in the back, again, hoping that the larger zucchini and green bean leaf structure would provide it some shade to protect it from potential sun scald. Seems to be doing pretty well. Hopefully they continue to grow nicely and give us some delicious peppers. And this, believe it or not, is parsley. Now, the parsley, we planted it in the late fall. It grew really well throughout the winter and spring, and then we decided to let it go to seed or flower and go to seed. It brings in lots of little pollinators throughout the day and adds some interesting structure to the garden in this section. Definitely something we'll continue to grow in the future. 4th raised bed over here on the side yard, primarily for our cucumbers. We have telegraph cucumbers along the majority here. There's self-pollinating, and then we have a Japanese cucumber as well that we added at the end that actually already has our first cucumber of the year. Pretty excited for that. Historically, this has been a great spot, very productive for cucumbers. Last year we had some voles come through and eat a bunch, which didn't help, but then it started growing quite well. They were going pretty slow, but then as it's gotten warmer and warmer the last few weeks, we're seeing more and more growth go up the trellis setup here, and we're looking forward to plenty of cucumbers throughout the rest of summer. In the front, we have various flowers again, as everywhere, trying to encourage pollinators to come and hang out in this spot of the garden, plus some old but still quite successful kale plants, where again we just harvest as we go, cut back, it starts to regrow, allows us to have some greens with salads or stir fries throughout the year. Well, that's it for our early morning harvest of our vegetable garden. Thanks for joining us on this tour, and make sure to come back later when we give you an update about how it's doing later on in the summer. Hopefully way more than this.